Hey, welcome everybody to the Talking Box Show. This is my first episode of The Brown Voice. On this YouTube channel, no matter what skin color you are, whether you're legal American or illegal American, whether you're from the LGBT community, whether you're from the Republican Party, Democrat Party, whatever, whoever you are, you're welcome here to have your voice heard. So we have some serious events taking place here in the United States of America right in front of our eyes. A couple of weeks ago here in Texas, the Texas governor, Greg Abbott, was going to sign a bill into law to make it legal for Americans to create a anti-immigrant vigilante posse here in Texas to hunt down illegal immigrants on the border, right? And under immunity, meaning whatever crimes they commit against hunting down illegal immigrants, they won't be prosecuted. They will be protected by the Texas government law. That's a big problem. And just today, I read that Merrick Garland, Department of Justice, they filed charges against the Mexican cartel, Sinaloa, for creating and causing the fentanyl crisis here in the United States of America. The reason why I mentioned this last part with Texas Governor Greg Abbott bill to form American Vigilante Posse, right, is because I think this is the United States Department of Justice response to the governor Greg Abbott. So I think behind the doors, right, they made an agreement. Hey, the Texas government said, the rich people here in Texas, the billionaires, racist people, that I swear they are, you guys, listen to my story, right? That's why I said this is the brown voice for all people, no matter where you're from, rich or poor, you're welcome here. LGBTQ, Catholic, Christian, Muslim, Jew, Jews that don't know they're Jews, Sheva ben Noach, the Noah, the righteous non-Jewish descendants of Noach, human beings, right? All welcome here. Men, women, transgender, whatever, don't care. Educated, uneducated, criminal, not criminal, cartel, not cartel, you're all welcome here to have your voice here. So the problem with this, and like I said, the reason why I think this is the Department of Justice response to the Texas Governor Greg Abbott is because look, they know if the Texas Governor Greg Abbott signed his bill into law, this sets a precedence across the United States of America towards you, brown America, American citizens, illegal American citizens, because that's how they're still treating us. And what would happen is that here in Texas will be racially profiled because anybody from the brown culture already knows whether you're white, black, Asian, Muslim, whatever, Jew, none, if you come from this brown culture, everybody's here speaking Spanish, right? And then you have people like me that don't speak Spanish, and there's a reason why I don't speak Spanish, and I'll explain that too. So these people can't distinguish. They're gonna, if the Texas Governor Greg Abbott signs his bill into law, I'm gonna have to prove to every vigilante posse member, right? I'm American citizen, and you will, and your wife will, and your husband will, and your grandma and grandpa and great grandma and grandpa, right, and your children. And the scary aspect of this is that they would operate under pure immunity, meaning they could beat on us, they can't kill us, okay, incarcerate us, whatever they want to do, because they're protected by the Texas government law. And I'm going to explain to you again, you guys are probably finally realizing here in Texas, the heart of the Republican wealthy party The whole Texas government, led by the Republican Party, it's corrupt hugely. I mean, man, when I tell my story, so it's one thing to make a serious allegation, but it's another thing to make a serious allegation and provide the facts and the proof and the evidence, all that stuff, right? And that's where that's under that's the category I fall under. Everything I'm gonna tell you, it's based on facts, personal experience, and evidence and proof, all this stuff, to where if I ever get into court, right, I could present my case, my grievance against or with the United States of America. Why am I violently being discriminated? Why am I only being prosecuted here in Texas and not protected by the law? And why am I being prosecuted in the first place in Texas when I'm innocent? Where's the due process, right? So that's the problem. And I think this is the agreement behind the doors that Texas billionaires, like you're hearing about Clarence Thompson and the billionaire here in Texas. Yeah, this stuff's real, you guys. This stuff is so real. And you're probably finding out, well, Donald Trump is a criminal now, and finding out the truth. I mean, when you have the guy, when the news plays Donald Trump's audio of him speaking and other people, yeah, hey, this guy was overthrowing the United States democracy. Really, it's the rich oppressing the poor. And a lot of people are prideful today, and I'll explain to you. You might think you're rich because you own a house, right? You own cars. But let me tell you something. And you're not rich, because unless you can show people, right? Not saying that you would have to, but if you want to go in public and say you're rich and you side with the rich people, okay, well, the house you live in, do you own it? Yeah. Can you show us the property deed? Right? And if you can't, then I'm going to tell you why you can't. Because the bank owns it and you're making payments on your house. And you still got another 20, 30, 40 years to go. And you think you're going to be alive in 30, 40 years, right? So, eventually what happens, this is the American dream being recycled, okay? People go out there, break their back, stepping on people to make more money, and then they die. And then they leave their family in a financial burden because they own a house but don't own the property deed. The bank owns it. They're paying the bank. The bank owns the house property. The cars you drive, 2022, 2023, 2024, right, is all owned by the car lot still. So if this makes sense to you, I'm not putting you down. I'm not judging you, just telling you the truth, right? If you're going to go public and side with the rich, well, are you rich? Because there is no middle class. When there was a middle class, they're poor right now, or they're rich. It's either or. And majority of them are going to be poor, meaning that they don't own their house property, the cars, everything they have, they really don't own. Somebody else owns it and they're making payments, right? And the American dream is one day they will own it, but the real American dream being recycled is that they die, leave their family in a financial burden. And the whole house and the cars are being recycled by other consumers, right? Here in America, and especially cars are being sent all over the world, being recycled by other consumers. Do you see? That's the fallacy of the American dream. And that's the fallacy of thinking you're rich, acting like you're rich, and then going public, siding with the rich. And then a poor person like me tells you, hey, well, do you own your house, your property deed? Where's it at? The cars? Yeah, you got a car title? See what I'm saying? And then it begins to make sense, right? And then hopefully this could open up dialogue where people don't have to feel embarrassed and ashamed. We're all experiencing this. We all fell for the lie, the deception of the American dream. And now we're finding out the hard way, the recycled American dream, right? By the things I just mentioned. So that's the president's Texas government is trying to set here in the United States of America. Imagine that. And you guys already know we're censored. Brown Americans, we're censored. And, no one's talking about this no one's talking about it in an intelligent way. I'm not intelligent or, have higher education as in degrees or any of that, but I'm still intelligent. I see this and I guess I have some kind of wisdom behind it, right? and providing a platform. So YouTube, the creators of YouTube, thank you. God bless you guys. You probably fall under the category of being super rich, but who knows? What I do know, I'm aware that up here above us, the rich are at war, and it's spilling out into the political arena across the United States of America, and people are experiencing it at work, right? Because what's happening today? I'm so censored here in Amarillo, Texas, and I've been trying to get this message out since 2018. America, wake up. The rich are coming for our rights. This is 5 years ago. All this stuff that's happening right now, I was trying to address 5 years ago. I got censored for filing worker compensation claims here in Amarillo, Texas. Just blew out, it just blew up. Sickening blew up. And Texas government exposed themselves to me as, these hiding under the facade of conservative Christianity, right? But there's billionaires, rich, and they're stripping away, like they stripped away my rights. Okay. I got retaliated. Okay, so I was discriminated at work 3 times, threatened, denied medical treatment, had to work after getting hit in the back with an excavator bucket that weighs 5 tons. Okay. It's part of my Texas workers' compensation claim. And the third work accident, I was crushed. These cats tried to murder me out there because I had a work stomach, people are like, I don't know, they saw my stomach, swelled up like today. I'm not fat, just my stomach. I got a lot of, hematoma trauma in my abdominal wall. That's why I'm wearing this rib brace, because without it, I can't sit here and talk and breathe and, all this crazy, crazy stuff. But I've been trying to get my message out there. I got attacked by a medical doctor who accused me of insurance fraud. So there ain't no due process here in Amarillo, Texas. The Amarillo Police Department pressed charges on me. And there's a phone call. There's an audio phone call that the Amarillo Police Department 5 years later still refused to get to me. Because they know when I get it, I'm going to blast it here on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, to make America realize I'm getting beat up over here fighting for your rights too. And sadly, because I've been censored so bad through being attacked with heavy machinery, assaulted, these people try to murder me. I got denied medical treatment over and over and over. If you can imagine the post-traumatic stress disorder, right? Anybody get crushed with the heavy machinery is going to have PTSD. I had to fight for that. I got arrested, no due process. Got arrested just to get mental health treatment and to get medical treatment. That was just last November here in Amarillo, Texas. So it's just bad, right? And now, finally, because I got Social Security disability, I got insurance, access to a medical doctor. They said, hey, you got to get a broken rib brace for around your body. And you need to figure out, what's wrong with your body. So like next week, I go see a physical therapy to find out if my neck's broken or not. Can you guys imagine that? This is real. Running around here probably with a broken back. What I do know is that 5 of my cervical discs are herniated from when I got crushed. That's why it's still hard for me to swallow, and it's still swollen in my neck. You probably can't see it, but right here, oh my God, the pain, the madness, right? So what do? I'm being censored. I'm under threats. I have the United States government as really against me because the Department of Justice, everything I'm saying here, the statements I'm making is backed by evidence. The Department of Justice, when it comes to brown Americans, they don't have financial resources to come over here and investigate this. I'm on the FBI terrorist watch list for filing complaints with the FBI, right, after these hate crimes happen, just to find out if you're Mexican American, you don't have rights in the United States, in our own country, the United States of America. I'm one of those Mexican families. I'm actually native Mexican. I'm Yaqui. My family's been here in the United States of America way before the United States of America became the United States of America. That's how far back my family goes with the Yaqui people, And I'm also I'm biracial or a crossbreed. I took a DNA test, but my mom's side, they're Irish Germans, come from the Heil family. Imagine that. all the racism all your life, right? Reading about the Nazis and then the neo-Nazis today saying Heil Hitler, and they're using my mom's maiden name. Do you see how and that's ironic to me. It's like, it doesn't make sense, right? But all this trouble that happened to me, I was trying to get help, been trying to get help, but like I said, I'm losing my freedoms. I mean, I can't, no attorney will represent me here in Amarillo, Texas. So now you're probably reading in the news, the Department of Justice, the prosecutor is accusing Texas government for shopping for judges. Yeah, it's real. Because these attorneys in Texas and out of Texas, it's so credible what happened to me. And because the statute of limitation expired 3 years ago, now I can't sue anybody, right? But you can't weaponize the law and prevent American citizen, right, to due process, hire an attorney, filing grievances, right? A defense attorney, right? You can't do that. But that's what they're doing. And for some reason they think, and but they think that they can do this and get away with it because the statute of limitation expired. But they don't understand there's always a loophole in all laws created by man, right? And the loophole is going to be you can't weaponize the United States Constitution and state laws against American citizen to the point for the intention, because you have to prove for the intention to make the statute, to deny you access to the courts for, to file a grievance or complaint or redress with the United States government, right? You can't deny them under threats and harassment and attacks and, false incarcerations and stuff until the statute of limitation passes, and then they can't sue you. Come on now, but this is what happens when you're rich and you think you're above the law, like Donald Trump. Now we're finding out about Clarence Thomas. This whole government's corrupt, you guys. So America, y'all need to stop playing around. I wouldn't go to work tomorrow. I'll be making phone calls to everybody I know. Hey, this dude on YouTube, you need to hear his story. And it makes sense. I wouldn't send my kids to school tomorrow because how corrupt the government is. When you see police officers, right? It seems today there's more bad cops than good cops. And the good cops are getting canceled, censored, fired, right? All this stuff, you guys. So when you see this happening right in front of your eyes, why are you going to entrust the lives of your kids at someone's work site? Because that's where people are dying. People today in America are dying at somebody's work site, no matter who you are. You hear about the news reporting the violence at the Nationals Capitol, right? With the with the whole United States government down there in Washington, D.C., right? Democrat, Republicans fighting back and forth. Like, all this is unprecedented, just to go public and just to make threats, right? So what we're witnessing is the United States corruption, or the United States government corruption. And it affects everybody. It doesn't work from the bottom up. It always trickles down from the leader, all the way downwards. And you still have people blaming Joe Biden. Really? I mean, you're not going to listen to the audio tapes recorded by Donald Trump? What about Clarence Thomas? This dude over here, you guys heard about, like last night, I read this news report. Clarence Thomas, friend, billionaire here in Texas, right? Became friends after Clarence Thomas became part of the United States Supreme Court back in 1993, right? Like 5 years later, they became friends. And then now Clarence Thomas sold his house, his dad's house, right? He inherited by his dad or grandparent. Yeah, it was his grandpa. Clarence Thomas' grandpa viewed Clarence Thomas as his son and then gave him the house. And then his mom, Clarence Thomas' mom, right, lives in the house. But Clarence Thomas, back in 2014, sold the house to the billionaire here in Texas, the Republican conservative Christian, right, that donated millions of dollars to the Republican GOP party. So it's a big scam, you guys. What you're witnessing is what happens when, and this is the forefathers, the reason why they put the Constitution and framed it the way it is, because they already knew about the European governments that were corrupt. And the church is over there. You guys, you need to go study American history and understand the reason why the United States became the United States. These people were fleeing from Europe because everything that happened here in Americas, right? Canada, United States, South America, Mexico, to the native people. This happened over there in Europe 1700 years ago or 1500 years ago, like around like 500 AD or something, when that Roman Catholic Church rode up in there. And that's why when you watch these TV series like the Vikings, that's a good show. And you see those the Vikings are indigenous people to Europe fighting, defending their rights and freedoms, right? By against who? The Catholic Church. And then, eventually, but at that time, the Catholic Church, the rich people, all that stuff. Saying so, we all shared this common denominator. Obviously, it happened in Africa, Asia, everywhere the church went. They committed all their crimes against humanity. That's why you find out here in the United States of America, you're watching the news, all these, guys and women just blasting the church, whether it's Catholic, evangelical, Protestant, for all their sex crimes, crimes against humanity, right? It's all in front of our eyes, and everyone's still saying Donald Trump is innocent. This dude's a rich man. This guy has people, politicians going on the news and telling poor Americans to send Donald Trump money for his defense, right? For his defense fees. Does that make sense to anybody? Yeah, it makes sense, because if you're going to this religious institution all your life and you're giving your money to people that you're just getting super rich off of it and you're still struggling in life and poor, yeah, this is the life for you, right? But it's not the right thing to do. It's all wrong, and we're all feeling the brunt of it in the average American life, which is the majority of the United States of America. And that's why I said you have people dying, American people, or just anybody, right? Here in the United States, dying at somebody's work site across the United States of America. And then you have the workers, right, dying at their work site across the United States of America. And then you're getting paid low wages. They're, just to shut everybody up, people are starting to unionize. Yeah, that's kind of good, but what we need is an overhaul of the whole economic system, meaning we all need to go out there and stop protesting and go out there intelligently and peacefully demonstrating the unity of the United States of America, right? Because the hatred, it's everywhere. The corruption is everywhere. Prime example, logical, rational solutions. If I was leading a cause, I'll say to the cause, right? Hey, everybody, it's because of you, not me in the first place. I'm just the mouthpiece. But I want to hear what your input is. What do you view as the United States of America? How do you want it to be? Why do you want to demonstrate out here and demand our politicians pass legislation to affect and improve the quality of life for all Americans, right? So if you're racist, you're hateful, whatever, this isn't the movement for you. This movement is for people that know the right thing and that's going to do the right thing in an intelligent, peaceful, demonstrative manner. Okay. I'll tell you what my ideology or my view of the United States should be. Yeah. $25 an hour, minimum wage, flat across the board. And people argue with that or make fun of it. Well, it's because you're just showing to me and other people you're already defeated. So why are you going to get in the way of the cause? Just because you don't think it's possible, but you're okay with the United States government funding the Ukraine-Russian war, and our tax money ain't going into these broken communities where whites, blacks, Mexicans, natives, Asians, everyone's all that committing crime. Do you see what I'm saying? So why are you going to get in the way of the cause? Why are you going to embarrass yourself in public, showing everybody you're already defeated? Do you see what I'm saying? So this is one of the ways that we can do it. And I forget which country did this anyways 2 years ago. Look it up on Google search. I know people are telling you whatever about Google search. This is, look, I'm older, probably, I'm coming from Generation X. So I was there at the beginning of the internet. So yeah, we know there's false information. It's not like this is new. We knew this before a lot of these kids were even born today, making these allegations, But you have to learn how to surf the internet. Remember that word, surfing the internet? and distinguishing, what's the looking for the credentials of the information you're taking in. Remember, we didn't have the internet until like the late 90s. Like me, my first experience with the internet was like in 1996, 1997. Do you see? But prior to that, the method of study for us was reading books, tons of books. And I read books going back 100 years ago about just stuff that seems irrelevant today, but makes a lot of sense today, even too, by reading real education from 100 years ago, because of the manner of the people were. They respected education. You had credentials. If you wrote something false, your book wouldn't hit the market. People would know in a newspaper, right? You got to read a newspaper information, receive the information about someone who put the credentials on the line and created backlash, right? And pretty much being censored by the academia world and taking away their credentials by falsifying their book or something they're writing about. That's how it used to work back just not too long ago. You probably don't think so, but yeah. And it seems like Donald Trump, when he became president, just destroyed everything, And that's why you're feeling the brunt of society today. You're experiencing poor quality of life. And that's why you're seeing people, the innocent people, dying at someone's work site. And then you see American workers dying at their work site. It doesn't matter who you are, So all these crimes, discrimination, all this stuff, the hate, all of it, propaganda is coming actually from the work site, because that's the rich people having the war above us, Democrat, Republicans, right? Trying to maximize personal profit over American life. What about the lady in California, right? She had breast cancer or something. I read this article today. And then the doctor let her die, cardiac arrest, let her die for 3 hours, So condolences to the husband and the family. I'm sorry this happened. I've been trying to get my story out there. And people might say, well, why are you calling your YouTube channel The Brown Voice? Why not? What's wrong with it? My whole life, even right now, my whole life, I'm accustomed to filling out a job application. And in this job application, it says, are you white? Check, right? If you're black, check. If you're Hispanic, check, right? It's like we're the only race, and the Asian race and the Native American race, if you want to call it races, there's only one race, the human race, but cultures. We're the only cultures here in the United States of America that don't identify by skin color. So how am I racist? If it says white and black, logically and rationally, this suggests that whites and blacks are racist, not a person like me. Because when have you seen a job application that says and asks you, are you brown? Nowhere. Everybody knows. You ain't ever seen that stuff, But I'm just addressing areas or the sources of where this racism comes. All white people ain't racist. All black people ain't racist. All Mexicans ain't racist. Native Americans, Asians, everybody, LGBTQ. Do you see what I'm saying? And it always have a minority group of people that are. And if you're in the brown culture, you already know Mexican Americans are discriminated against Mexican Americans too. And I'll talk about that too here shortly. So all this information just to address to America, no matter who you are here in the United States of America, they're coming for our freedoms, you guys. I'm telling you, and it's right here in Amarillo, Texas, or it's happening here in Texas. And that's on the Republican side. Like Texas is the heart of it. It's like the Confederacy is coming back, you guys. So take this stuff serious, because this is real. Texas Governor Greg Abbott was supposed to sign into law the bill saying Americans, Texans, right, know the Texas history with the Texas Rangers, abuse towards blacks and Asians and Mexicans and natives. This is bad. And then the president is going to set across the United States of America that us brown skin will have to show to all these people that were American citizens, even though the older Mexican families like mine been here before the United States of America was created. Yaqui. You probably never heard of Yaqui. It's spelled Yaqui. Look this stuff up. There were Yaqui wars, we're the ones they call Mexican Indians, right? And we're censored out big time because my tribe never surrendered to any foreign government. Not one time. They fought the Mexican Revolution, all this stuff. So I create this channel for that reason. So if you leave comments, I don't know, maybe you want to broadcast me on your platform, but this is real, you guys. So women, hey, I understand what you're going through. Look, I'm over here fighting for American rights for everybody here in the United States of America. And I've been viciously dehumanized. And still, you guys, man, I was afraid and, stressed out because I didn't receive any medical treatment, even mental health treatment until last month for medical treatment because I got Social Security. And that's why Republicans want to cut Social Security, right? I can't work. I had to go after I got hit in the back with the bucket. I had to work. And then when I got crushed with the bucket that same day, I had to come back to work. And I had to work the next day and the next day. Do you see what I'm saying? After being crushed. Can you guys imagine that? Can you wrap your mind around that? Jeffrey over here at work here in Amarillo, Texas for the Allen Butler Construction Inc. company. I was in a squat position and the operator did this accident. It wasn't no accident. They tried to murder me. And honestly, I think they murdered me. And I think a freak accident happened. I came back to life, or God resurrected me from the dead. All right. And I'll explain why too. It's quite logical and rationally to understand why I think this way. Because that bucket weighs 5 tons, and I don't know how much the pounds per pressure was on this hydraulic system of this excavator, heavy machinery. This bucket was lowered on top of me. Okay. My hard hat was, had minute fractures in it, but that's where it crushed me at. The point of contact was on top of my head. See, just touching right there, it freaking hurts. As far as I know, my freaking dome, my whole cranium's probably all busted up, fractured, right? Because that's how vicious these people are here in Texas. These politicians, these rich people that are taking women's rights away too. Man, and no one's fighting for I'm fighting for everybody's rights, but no one's fighting for my rights. I've been censored. That's why you haven't heard my story on any news outlets, any news agencies, because this involves a lot of politicians. I think I also exposed something like a Ponzi scheme with the Texas Mutual Insurance Company that happened, right? I have bad luck or I'm cursed, one of the two. Maybe you can decide. But out of all of this, the employer subscribed to the Texas Mutual Insurance Company. So I researched it a while back. Come to find out, in 1993, the Texas legislatures created the Texas Mutual Insurance Company to combat, I guess, insurance fraud or work accidents here in Texas. That's why these crimes are happening to me. Started at work as hate crimes and just got out of control. And that's why I said maybe I'm cursed or I just got bad luck. But what's the coincidence? What's the chances of that? All this would happen, and then to find out that the insurer is Texas Mutual Insurance Company, and they deny me medical treatment. They sent their doctor to abuse me. The Texas Department of Workers' Compensation could have prevented it because I filed grievances before the assault. So that means they allowed this cat to go there, and I think he tried to murder me in that examination room at the Concentra here in Amarillo, Texas. And I came back, probably back to life because like I said, I got crushed. I got multiple freaking brain injuries, head injuries, neck, back, whole body injuries, skeletal, musculoskeletal, all of it. I'm a walking miracle. And all this happened. So, man, so women, I understand what you're saying, but look, I need someone to do the right thing and get behind me on this. Because like I said, I can prove all this with the police report. I can prove to you that Sergeant Lane, the internal affairs sergeant, currently at the Amarillo Police Department, called me last year, played an audio of the phone call of Detective Wesley Brown at the Amarillo Police Department threatening to press charges on me if I don't press charges on you. I mean, threatening to press charges on me if I press charges on the medical doctor Jesus or Ernesto Jesus Mendez. That's, you guys know it's illegal. The Ponzi scheme, look it up. Go on Google search, look up Texas Mutual Insurance Company, and it's payback to its employers who subscribe to their insurance policy. Okay. Texas Mutual Insurance Company covers 40% of insurers here in Texas. Come on now. And in these reports, you'll see just, I think last year, the year before, they just paid to Texas American workers or employers, millions of dollars. So they reward the Texas Mutual Insurance Company rewards employers who have a clean and safe work environment for its workers. Do you see? That's the Ponzi scheme. Why? Because listen to my story, what happened. And they got mad because I filed a workers' compensation claim, and then I just got crapped on further, right? So it's really a Ponzi scheme right in front of our eyes. The rich are getting rich off the poor right in front of our eyes, and people are dying left and right here in Texas at work, you guys. And I've been trying to get this message for the last 5 years. But like I said, I've lost my freedom. I've been threatened by police officers, judges. I mean, like I said, it's sickening. So give me a second. I want to point something out. So if you can imagine the trauma that I've been going through, right? Denied medical treatment. I've been going to the Texas Mutual, or I've been going to the Texas Panhandle Centers here in Amarillo, Texas for mental health treatment, just to be discriminated over there. They had an issue for the last 5 years, and they didn't want to diagnose me with PTSD. They told me I have bipolar. I told them I don't have bipolar. They put me on the medication. I kept having adverse reactions. Without me knowing, they diagnosed me with psychosis and antisocial behavior without me knowing. So you already know when you have psychiatrists, right, mental health doctors behind your back, putting on paper and not telling you and not treating you for these disorders. Yeah, they're using that. And, what I realized, these people were plotting to kill me, because if I die, this, if there's and I'm pretty sure there'd be a media coverage, because no news agencies here in the United States of America wants to take this story, right? But if I died, if they murder me, they're going to tell my family, look, he was bipolar. This dude was psychosis. This dude had antisocial disorder. Who do you think my family is going to believe? Me, that's dead, or the doctors and the police officers, right? You know damn well if your family member dies and then the doctors come and say, look, he's diagnosed or she was diagnosed with bipolar, psychosis, and antisocial disorder. It all sounds bad, right? And then the police comes and say, yeah, he was brandishing a weapon, so the police officer had to shoot him down. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm dead. You're dead if this happened to you. And is your family going to believe? They're going to believe the people alive with education, with money, power, influence, because that's, really here in the United States of America, we've been so psychologically manipulated by the information we receive. We're trained to not critically think and to believe people with higher education, money, power, influence. So check this out. This is all real. Just last week, I contacted the Texas Rangers, right? The Texas Department of Public Safety, because I first contacted the Texas Attorney General's office, and they told me they rerouted my phone call to the Texas Department of Insurance. I'm calling the Texas Attorney General's office to file a criminal complaint about everything that's happening to me. They reroute me to the Texas Department of Insurance to file a complaint. This is, I mean, it's insurance fraud, but this is criminal insurance fraud plus the hate crimes, the assault with heavy machinery, the doctor, the obstruction of justice, no due process, being interrogated in these examination rooms. I mean, so that's what they're doing. And I wrote it down, and I spoke to Elizabeth on April 2nd, 2023, a week and a half ago, right? 4:08 p.m. Have they responded? No. Was I able? And here's the thing: I can't type and write because of my injuries and everything. My doctor even said, I tell him, hey, when I try to write, I can't. See, that's why I'm stretching now. He says, hey, don't do it. If it's causing too much pain, don't write and all this stuff. And, the trauma behind it, it's hard to, to express in the complaint. It's lengthy too. I mean, if you see the complaints, I mean, you can't say all this stuff that happened. I mean, I'm not saying I was discriminated one time. I'm not saying that this was an assault on my life one time. This happened repeatedly. There's a criminal pattern. There's a pattern of organized crime by the Texas Republican Conservative Party, okay? So I don't know what to do, but I've been trying to get the message out there, and I see the women are waking up and realizing what these conservative Christians are doing. They're billionaires. They're super rich. They're passing their agenda to take away our freedom so that they can maximize their personal profits off of American labor. And that's why no matter who you are across the United States of America, right, going to work, low wages, it's violent. People are treating you like scum. And at a certain point of this new American history, the majority has to wake up and ask themselves, do I want to live like an animal in society where I have to be abusive and violent towards everybody just to earn enough money to feed me and my family and maybe have some spending money for some kind of pleasures of the world? Because that's where we're at. They're marginalizing, right, groups of people. So imagine this: being brown, Mexican American all my life, find out, man, my mom's side are Ashkenaz Jews, right? And then my dad's side found out that they're Sephardic Jews, and then my dad's side's native, my mom's Irish German, even from Prague, all this crazy stuff. You think, right, you have equal protection to the law, and then come to find out that you don't, and now all Americans are experiencing it. And it's really this racism that's on our level. That's just an instrument they use. It's a war strategic maneuver to cause division, and they really get it from Jesus the Christ. In the military mindset, I guess, because he's the one that said it too. Look at how advanced Jesus the Christ was when he said, "A house divided can't stand." That's just like pure logic right there, right? And that's what's happening here in the United States of America. These people know where you think psychology came from. You guys really think psychology was just created outside of Jewish mysticism and Jewish spirituality and the Greek New Testament Jewish mysticism and the Greek New Testament Jewish spirituality? Then you gotta wake up, and I'm happy because I finally am getting some kind of medical treatment. Like I said, I'll find out next week if my neck is broken and back because I can't move it. I tried to. I mean, that's how much I could do it, and it hurts, you guys. I still struggle eating. I mean, I'm afraid to eat because the swelling, So anybody with a broken neck, any medical doctor out there that want to give me some kind of medical advice with the symptoms I'm describing, go ahead, drop a comment, whatever, right? But when I eat, it takes me for like an hour and a half to eat. My wife eats faster than me because my neck is so swollen that when I eat, man, food gets stuck in my throat, man. It's scary times, it's scary times for a sober mind, and now just a month ago, I'm finally getting mental health treatment for the post-traumatic stress disorder. That's all I'm being treated for. But it took 5 years. It took all this harassment, violence, loss of my freedom, accusations, no due process, no equality or nothing, just pure wicked dehumanization towards me, right? And to get to this point, to be able to talk again, right? And just express my thoughts and ideas. But it's really this is an American issue, you guys. Man. So how I vision the United States, yeah, $25 an hour. The United States economy can pay it. It's the rich people that don't want to pay it. And hey, time's up. They got to pay it now. That's why we need to unite the United States of America. Who would go against a political movement that's demanding in an intelligent way, in a respectful way, right? In a non-hostility way or a non-hostile way? Hey, we want minimum wage $25 an hour. And also to combat the corruption, right? Obviously, the politicians, because they brag about their higher education and stuff. And, you know, if this is me, I'll say, hey, we give you a week to show us the policy that you're going to pass when you pass the minimum wage to $25, when you pass the minimum wage to $25 an hour across the United States of America. And that policy we want you, the United States government, to regulate corporate America, to ensure they don't increase their prices, right, for basic needs, food, water. Because here in Texas, you got to pay for water. Here in Amarillo, you got to pay for water. There's places all over the place here in Amarillo where you go buy your water at, because the water is so gross. The air is just so bad. You know, my eyes are burning from allergies. And remember, this is the bomb city here in Amarillo, just east of us, like a mile or two, is where Texas and, somebody owns this missile factory. So I think, because Donald Trump, when he cut that red tape, deregulating American rights and protections, that's what we're all experiencing right now. The mass shootings, people dying at work, people dying at somebody's work, the corruption, right? Police officers corrupt, police officers dying, paramedics dying, firefighters dying for chump change. American workers, you, me, going out there, having to work with broken limbs, broken body parts, no medical treatment. Women now, right? All of a sudden, everyone's super holy from the church. And in the media, nobody wants to point out, well, hold on. How are you a conservative Christian? What's so good about your religion? When other news agencies here in the United States of America is exposing all these sexual predators at these churches, right? Let's be real. What's the bigger issue here? They should be blasting the church covering up sex crimes against kids, men, and women, right? But they're not. And they got the American people psychologically compromised, ready to kill each other, and it's happening right in front of our eyes. And innocent people are dying. Innocent people are being manipulated, right? Psychologically, emotionally, and behaviorally to commit these crimes. So that's one of the issues to combat corruption here in the United States of America. The policy would have to be passed to heavily regulate corporate America. Because remember, they're trying to say that, this inflation started because of the war. No, inflation started last January, when on the East Coast in New York, those Amazon workers began to unionize. But even before that, like November, December, there's already reports in cities across the United States of America reporting inflation, and it increased around January, February. Do you see what I'm saying? That's the rich controlling the economy, and we're all economical slaves here. If that's what, that's really what's going on here. And that's why we're all experiencing a poor quality of life. Right? So that's one way to combat the corruption, right? I think police officers, they're corrupt because they're risking their life. If they die, their family, their kids, who knows who's going to take care of them when you're dead, or your husband and kids. Do you see what I'm saying? Because men and women are out there as police officers, firefighters, paramedics, doctors, right? But really, the first responders. To combat that corruption, you increase everybody's wages. It's only rational and logical to increase people's wages. That's going to protect the community and society they live in, right? What about the worker? Why would a worker want to argue against this movement? No, dude, no, sir, dude, no, sir. We're against minimum wage to $25 an hour because the rich man in the mansion on the hill is telling me to tell you to knock it off because it ain't going to happen because we can't afford it. You'll break the economy, right? Not critically thinking about it and not obviously being educated about basic economics. You know what I'm saying? We're the consumers. Whenever you have consumers with money, they're going to spend in the economy, like our United States economy, right? Corporate America knows this. That's why their prices compare, that's why all the prices, when compared to other countries, have lower prices for pills and access to, medical and mental health treatment, all kinds of stuff. It's only our country that people are dying, literally dying just to get medical treatment. Look at, I'm asking for medical treatment, mental health treatment, getting beat on, getting abused, threatened, terrorized, all that stuff, dehumanized, And the only reason why I'm able to jump back, or bounce back from this is because I'm dealing with God. I'm something like a biblical linguistic etymologist. I studied the Bible in Hebrew, Aramaic, and the Greek New Testament. So obviously I'm going against the grain here because all you viewers right now watching this video, unless you're Dr. Al Garza watching my video, you're not a scholar. I didn't go to school. I didn't go to college for this education. And obviously I'm having some kind of interaction with God. Not, and I'll show you why I think this, or I'll tell you right now why I think this, because when you hear people's interactions with God, whether it's near-death experiences or death experiences, and they come back to life, they have a story, they go to heaven, they see God, Jesus Christ is God, right? Right? They come back with a story, but they see God, they hear God, all that stuff. But if you read the Bible, even in its translations, but more importantly, in the original languages, all that stuff is comical. It's not factual. It's not accurate. These are just creative, fabricated stories, and I had a near-death experience. But my interaction with God has to do, I don't hear the voice of God. I don't see God. I never went to heaven or hell, but my interaction is, it's like I'm receiving some kind of signal, and the signal, it's not visual, it's not audio, it's like a quick thought, and it's so pure, it's so logical, it's so rational, it makes so much sense. That's the interaction I'm having with God. That's what I call my interaction with God. I don't use my mind, and it just comes whenever it wants to, and it's gone. So that's my credential with the Bible and everything. Obviously, if you're Mexican, brown, not going to a religious institution, no college institution, and you reading the Bible in these languages, really, how do you explain that, right? Well, I prayed to God, told him, hey, I want to learn the Bible for myself. I want to know who's telling the truth, the rabbis, the pastors, the Muslims, right? Because I really took the world religions, the first, 4 religions of the world is what I kind of researched, which is Judaism first, okay, Catholicism, Islam, and Christianity. Now, Catholicism, Christianity, and Protestant evangelical Christianity totally different, even though the Protestant evangelical Christianity took the Catholic Christian doctrines like the Trinity, all this, and incorporated that to their belief system. I studied that, pray to God. I just want to know the truth and let me decide If you're God, why is the Bible so inaccessible? If you're God, why do I have to pay a lot of money, spend a lot of time learning these dead languages? Because all my life, and like you know what I'm talking about. You've been told all your life these are dead languages, right? Every every time you turn to look for God in these religious institutions called the church, it's like they had a plan already to discourage you, to make it seem so impossible, right, to read the Bible in original languages. And you know, obviously, we're told in the Bible that God, He discerns a man's heart and his thoughts, or a human being's heart and thoughts. Because Adam means man, but it also means human being, and that's the correct translation of the Bible. God's talking to human beings because He created men and women, right, male and female at the beginning. But so that's I obviously have some education. God answered my prayer. I learned Aramaic, Hebrew, and Greek in all at once in a time span of 3 months, 12, 13 years ago. Do you see? So obviously I'm doing something here, or God's doing something here, because that's against the norm. I didn't go to a college institution, religious institution. I went to the library, pray to God. Didn't have the money for the books. I didn't know what kind of books I didn't know what I was doing. After the fact, I look back and, whoa, dang, look, I was researching not only world history and church history and world religion histories and all this crazy stuff. I was also tapping in a syllabus. If you've ever been in college, the professor gives you a syllabus, right, for the season, or for the what's it called, for the semester. First semester this, half semester, or the quarters of the semester. First quarter you're going to learn this, second quarter learn that, third. Do you see what I'm saying? That's how my prayers were answered, and that's the manner I learned this education, was like according to a syllabus, at college, minus the college and minus the money, and I know it's untraditional, and that's how I know God is I'm having some kind of interaction with God. And look at what happened to me, and how I'm being censored, and having to go on social media. So like I said, God bless YouTube. Hey, you made a good platform, man. This is a way for people to reach out for help, right? Or to have contact with other people. And this is happening here in Amarillo, Texas, but it's really now happening across the United States of America. I tried, you guys. I contacted the UL, what is it for Mexican Americans? UCLA or something, LULAC, LULAC, before Uvalde last year. Yeah, these cats, right? Mexican American civil rights defenders and all this stuff. I was telling them, they're telling me, this is going to be big. You got to get an attorney outside of Amarillo. And I tell them, I'm getting shut down by everybody, and I'm innocent. And I kept telling them on the phone, you guys need to help me get my story out there before more people die, especially brown Americans, Mexican Americans, Latinos, right? And then Uvalde happened. And after, imagine me for the last 2 years prior to Uvalde mass shooting happening there, because I'm not, yeah, the shooter was a brown person, right? But you saw how the world saw the response from the Texas Department of Public Safety. Up over 100 police officers, dude. And my psychiatrist was Hispanic from the East Coast, Latina. I kept telling her too, 2 years prior, from 2018 or 2019 to last year, Uvalde shooting. Hey, I need help. I need help. You can file an anonymous complaint with the Department of Justice. I need help, though, to prevent my life from expiring, and other people lives expiring, or people dying, innocent people dying. And when that shooting happened, LULAC won't call back. That psychiatrist at the Texas Panhandle Centers, Dr. Sanchez, she disappeared. She's in private practice now, because I think it was like a week or two after that school shooting was my appointment that I made like the month before or 2 months before. And I think I was seeing this doctor every 3 months. So she already knew. I wasn't go up in there and tell her, look, Dr. Sanchez, all you had to do was help me. And you chose to do the wrong thing because you're a psychiatrist with higher education. You're choosing profit over patients, lives and innocent lives. And then the Uvalde school happened, right? And then the brown communities, Mexican, Latino communities are broken across the United States of America. And for example, look at the kids in Tennessee, that school shooting at that Christian school, right? And then you guys heard what happened. You guys, America's really seeing the Confederate Party coming back to life in these Confederate Republican Southern states across America. And this conservative Christianity Republica, right, of Republicans, these are the people, right, that you go to church today that tell you that Jesus loves you and all this stuff. They live in mansions, you live in poverty. But these are the same religious institutions that are responsible for the 1930s and the 1940s Mexican-American Repatriation Act. That time when America needed jobs for real Americans and they viewed Mexican-Americans as non-citizens and deported about 2 million, probably even more, Mexican families to Mexico. And these families never been in Mexico. And they took these families from across the United States of America, from California, Denver, Colorado, where I'm from, Chicago, East Coast. That's how big our culture is. So we're the majority, you guys. But once again, I know you've been psychologically compromised to think and to even attack me for telling you the truth. You'll want to sit here and argue with me, saying that you're a minority instead of going with the movement, saying, no, we're the majority. You're the type of person that'll argue with me that wants to stay poor and go against the movement that says, hey, we want to demand $25 minimally paid to American workers across the United States of America ASAP. You're the type of person, right, that'll argue and go against banning abortion rights. You're the type of person that'll go against banning independence or being able to express who you are, like the LGBT community, right? You're the type of person that'll go against universal health care, even though you're reading the same reports I'm reading across the news outlet platforms of patients killing or doctors killing their patients for profit. So that's what we're all faced with. That's what we're all going through. And this is what I've been trying to do, is trying to get people's attention in the midst of all that trauma, So wisen up, America. This division of hatred, it's a tactical maneuver to divide us so that they can keep pushing policy to take away our freedoms. So your little Second Amendment rights that you want to choose, right, over American lives, kids' lives, and all that ain't going to help you. You think that's going to help you? Compare your income to billionaires that's pushing this agenda. They're going to come with their little militia, and maybe you're white, and maybe you're one of those whites that are racist, or one of those blacks that are racist, or one of those Mexicans that are racist, right? And think that they're going to protect you too because you're part of the cause, just to find out after they conquer us and get rid of us, you're going to be enslaved by them. And so that's really what's happening here across the United States of America. Definitely, that's the Republican conservative party, right? So I see Latinas, Mexican, women, men on social media bragging, I'm a conservative Christian, I'm a Latina, blah, 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 speaking Spanish and everything. I can't speak Spanish, and I'm going to talk about that here in a minute, and saying that they're conservative Christians. Do you even know what conservative Christianity means? Because you lack the education of American history. That's always associated with the Confederacy, the Ku Klux Klan. And the Ku Klux Klan was in both parties, Democrat and Republican, you know? And there's always been white Americans fighting other white Americans doing the right thing in the political arena, and then white Americans doing the wrong thing in the political arena, right? That's how the civil rights came to pass. Well, you think that blacks just created this civil rights and got these legislators to pass legislation? No, because the good whites in that political domain back in the 60s had to support more voters, black voters, right? And then Cesar Chavez, which came later, but they were able to push the policy to make and create American civil rights. And this is why we have American labor rights, because of the Cesar Chavez movement. But I disagree with his movement because I saw on YouTube back in the 70s, he was calling immigrants wetbacks. I'm like, really? These people tell you you're an American citizen, knowing down well you're not. There's inequality. You're too proud to admit it, but you're calling other people wetbacks? And these people are calling you wetbacks? How many times? Am I the only non-Spanish speaking Mexican American here in the United States of America that's been called a spick all his life, been called a wetback, a greaser, a beaner, lazy, dirty? I'm just keeping it wrong, keeping it real. So why are you listening to these rich people from this church that's telling you nothing but lies? This is the party that's responsible for the Mexican American Repatriation Act. That's why I don't speak Spanish, because you guys, right, these first, second generation immigrants coming in here from Mexico being discriminatory towards immigrants makes no sense, right? You guys don't know. And then they tell us we're not Mexican because we don't speak Spanish. The reason why we don't speak Spanish is because after the Mexican American Repatriation Act, what about the Mexican families that remain in the United States of America? Because we're the majority. We've always been. Our grandparents, great-grandparents, you couldn't speak Spanish in public. You would get beat on, you would get raped, and the rape was towards men, women, and children by that religious institution you go to. And that's why you're seeing it's really God exposing the church dehumanization and corruption and the government corruption. It's really God doing this. That's why you're hearing these, that's why we have technology and everything, but it's really God doing, what he does to expose it and stuff, to help us to wake up and realize we're voting for people that are taking away our rights. And this is why we don't speak Spanish. So all you guys insulting us, calling us non-Mexicans. Yeah, you guys weren't here 20, 30 years ago. You probably just came here 20 years ago and wondered, how come these cats ain't speaking Spanish? How come I don't hear Spanish in public? That's the reason why. Because the families that are left behind, we got dehumanized. That's why we don't speak Spanish. But a lot of us are learning and discovering we're Jews. So, and that's another thing I want to talk about too. A lot of our ancestors, great-grandparents are Jewish. We're Jews that had to hide their identity from the church and didn't tell us, tell their offspring they're Jews. Why? Because they didn't want us to get dehumanized like they did. So we all share a common denominator. And look at how the media presents the Jews, right? Everybody in America thinks that Jews are just white. No, they're Mexican, they're black, they're Asian. Go look on YouTube. See all, like last year, the Israeli government returned the last Ethiopian families that are Jews that went to Ethiopia prior to the Babylonian captivity. And they're real Jews. They're black, African Jews, and Chinese and Asian, So expand your mind, educate yourself, liberate your mind. This is the year, this is the season of our liberation and freedom of our mind to be able to be who we are. Just because this is your religion, I don't want to believe in it, because I don't agree that if you're going to teach me religion but prevent me from learning the languages of that religion that the Bible's written in, I don't want no part of it. So that's what this message is about. If you're listening, if you're watching, leave a comment, say hi, say bye, say I'm right, say I'm wrong. But this has to be a social justice movement for all American lives. Either we all unite and do this together as Americans, right? And break down the barrier of racism, or we sit here idle and watch innocent people die left and right, and then we all lose our freedoms, and then adios, right? And I'll be there telling you too. I don't want to hear you whining. I don't want to hear you crying about it. When you had ample opportunity to do the right thing, you chose not to, and now we're all enslaved with no freedoms. So think about it. Think about everything that I'm telling you. It's coming from here in Texas and other Confederate Southern states, traditional conservative Christianity states. And the only party that we might have backing us up is going to be the Democrat Party.